Massive greetings to all those football fans out there. I'm Harry Sugiyama and I'm honored to be your host today. Now, with the global fight against this dreaded coronavirus, everything in the football world has come to a halt. We're all frustrated. Some have lost precious ones. Others are battling it out. We're all battling it out, but we all want to get our hands on a bit of footy ASAP. And today, with the help of the J.League, we've got a wonderful treat for you guys out there from home. We'll be connecting with some of the J.League's fantastic international players, having a bit of a chat, a bit of a banter, maybe some laughs, and see what they think about the J.League, about life in Japan, past and present, and also a bit maybe about each other too. So, without further ado, I would like to say a massive hello to these guys. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Hello. Good to see you, Jay, Michael, and Mitch. If it's possible, if you could introduce yourselves, let's say that'd be amazing. Start off with Jay. Would that be possible, man?
Yeah. So I'm Jay Bothroyd. I play for Consadole Sapporo, and I'm from England.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jay. Thanks for joining us. Then Mitch, please.
Yeah, I'm Mitchell Langerak. I play for Nagoya Grampus. I'm from Australia. I've been out here in Japan for 2.5 years now, so it's been a good time so far.
Excellent. And great to see you, Mitch. And last but not least, Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Olunga, and I play for Kashiwa Reysol, and I'm a Kenyan.
Good to see you, Michael. Now, Jay, Mitch, Michael, obviously you guys know of each other. You've battled it out. Let's hear about what you guys think about each other. What are your impressions then? I know that Jay and Michael, you guys battled out not recently, but in this year's opening game. Do you guys remember that encounter?
I don't want to talk about that.
What'd you say, Jay? You don't want to talk about it?
No, I don't want to talk about that
one. Michael, you know your memory is correct, right?
I've got my memories. You know, we were having a little chat with Jay during the game, and you know what we said in the game. You know, it stays between us.
I thought you was going to get me in trouble there.
No, for sure.
Mate, you know, I would love to know the banter, what kind of stuff that you guys talk about on the pitch. Like off the pitch, you know, everybody's friendly, but on the pitch, mate, the banter, the talk, the quality, you know, of talking to each other, that would be so interesting to hear. But just going back in history, you know, Michael, quality 2 goals to start the season off, right?
Yeah, it was you know, first game of the season, you know, coming out there, you know, we were promoted, you know, after we went down in relegation. And then
Yes.
It was a difficult game, you know, because also Sapporo, they had good quality. But I think the result favored us, but they really, you know, fought hard, you know, coming from 4-0, and they had an opportunity also to make it 4-3 if it wasn't for a keeper.
Right.
And they had a couple of also missed chances. So I can say it was really a 50-50 affair of game. And it was a good way to start the season. You know, unfortunately, we couldn't continue for more, but for sure, it was a good beginning.
Yeah. So, Jay, tough opponent Michael is, right?
Yeah, I mean, from our point of view, I think that in that particular game, we thought we played quite well. We started off the game well. We had some chances. We was attacking well. And then, obviously, I think some mistakes cost us. And obviously, Michael got in behind our defence and scored some goals. It was good to see him play, to be honest, because that was the first time I've seen him play. And it was good to announce himself in the J-League, in J1. But like he said, I think it was a tough game. But, you know, they had the home advantage. And, you know, I'm sure when we play them next time, we're going to get that win.
Yeah, well, Mitch, let's get you in the conversation then. Mitch, you've played Jay on a number of occasions, yeah? Have you got your memories with you?
Yeah, bad memories, to be honest. I think the first time we played Jay, he scored a double. It was a very very difficult game for us because we were fighting against the relegation, and we really needed to win this game at home. And I think he popped up with a penalty and then banged one in not long after. And from then we were chasing the game. So I've got definite memories of playing against him, but they're not good ones.
Yeah, I see Jay's got a massive grin on his face. Yeah, you got your memories correct from that game. Yeah, good penalty. You know, you kicked it in on the right side. You know, sending Mitchell the other way, but also a quality finish, turning. You know, and the hitting first time.
Yeah, no, I remember that game because, I mean, playing against Nagoya, obviously they've got really good individuals, and I think them being at the bottom of the league is kind of like a false position. We knew how good they were.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Mitch is a top keeper, and then they got you know Joe, and they got some Brazilians that can create stuff. So we knew that you know going to play them was going to be a very, very tough game, and it was. But you know, like I said, we got that penalty, and you know they equalised. You equalised, didn't you? And then you know I scored. I think it was just before half time, and I think that was you know scoring before half time always you know gives you that bit of boost going into the second half because you've got something to protect.
Of course, I think the final scoreline was 2-1, wasn't it? Now, gentlemen, let's talk about what we have to talk about, which is this, you know, this situation that nobody could have predicted, this fight against the coronavirus. I would like to ask you guys each about what you've been experiencing and how your everydays have changed. And what your everyday looks like right now, and like you know, if you've been able to train or not. Michael, can we start off with you? How has life changed in the last couple of months, really?
For sure, it has been quite a difficult, you know, situation trying to adapt to the new way of, you know, life, particularly because it really started like something, you know, which is very small, but at the end of the day, it has become a global pandemic. And then at the end of the day, we have been forced, you know, to stay indoors because right now in our state, Chiba Prefecture, we are, you know, under the state of emergency, which probably we are hoping after May 6th, you know, maybe things will be better, but it has really changed the whole dimension, the whole picture. We have to, you know, do the workouts inside the pitch because then you don't want to go out there, you know, risking also your health, which is quite important. So at the end of the day, we just try to adapt to the new training methods. You know, the club has given us the outline, you know, the guideline on what to work on specifically. So at the end of the day, there's nothing much we can do but just to try and take advantage of this situation and try and work out on some things which maybe you cannot work them during the normal season.
Of course. Michael, have you been able to train yourself of late?
Yeah, I train personally, you know, every day. I try and train mostly during the weekdays. During the weekends, I try to also give myself a break, you know, because also it's tiresome, you know, to train indoors every now and then, you know, a lot of distractions. You have Netflix at your disposal and this PlayStation, and then it's quite difficult also, you know, to maintain the discipline. But at the end of the day, it's something that you really need to, you're forced to do it, you know. As a player, you have to try and stay fit because we don't know when the resumption date of the J-League is going to be. So at the end of the day, you cannot afford to take chances by just letting yourself lose everything. You have to try and win something while you're under this situation.
Of course, try to stay positive with this mess of a situation. Mitch, have you been hitting up Netflix too then?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Michael if you had any recommendations for me. I feel like I've watched every show on there.
Now you wake up, you try and see, you know, the new movies coming. Every day I watch the new movie, so probably it's now also starting to get boring.
Yeah, that's it.
I've run out of Netflix.
Oh, really? Everybody's become a total kind of like film guru, you know? We're all like critiques now that we've seen everything. Mitch, how has life changed with you then?
Yeah, obviously, as Michael said, it's been a massive challenge for everybody. And first and foremost, it's important that we all look after each other and try to stay healthy and you know, not only in the football clubs but the wider public in Japan, that we do the right things, and hopefully if we do that, we can get on the pitch sooner rather than later. At the club, we were training more or less up until about 3 weeks ago, and then with the state of emergency, then we stopped and did a lot of home training sessions via Zoom. We would get the whole team on and just do core workouts and things like this, and running on the streets, which is it's difficult for the head to be at home all the time and doing your workouts at home. So this has been a big challenge for me. It's just staying at home, but we have to do what we have to do, and it's important that we keep ticking over and we keep our fitness up, all the players at all the clubs. So when we get the green light to play, that we're all ready to go, and we can kick off as soon as possible.
I mean, I can see the situation that you guys are totally fixed and concentrated and tuned on with the situation. Mitch, what have you been in touch on? You must have been with loved ones back at home. Have you been, you know, keeping up with what's going on back in Australia?
Yeah, of course. I think every day we check the news, we watch everything and follow everything, not only in Australia with our family and things like this, but we're seeing what's happening in the whole world, and it's, you know, it's heartbreaking to see, and you just hope that we can get it all under control and we can all get back to doing what we love and as fast as possible. But yeah, every day we're on FaceTime, we're calling our loved ones, our families back home. So this has been a bit of a challenge at the moment in Japan. Obviously, we can't have people coming out, and it's difficult for our families to sort of go back home. So it's just a hurdle that we have to get past, and trying to stay as positive as we can.
Jay, you know, you've been living in Japan for now, is that 6 years, if I'm correct?
No, you're incorrect. 5 years.
5 years, mate. I'm sorry, man. 5 years. Yeah. Mate, the data, man, you know, the stuff, the brain cells up here. Jay, with the situation, you're living in a foreign country. As much as you know Japan well, with those 5 years, do you have any anxieties that you come across every day?
For me, it's like Mitch said, you know, for us, we only stopped training, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, maybe even.
Right.
So we've been pretty much just training every day, you know, ticking over and whatnot. Obviously, the situation is not ideal because we have to do, you know, a lot of training at home by ourselves. And I mean, for the foreign guys, I'm not sure about Michael and Mitch, but for me, I'm by myself. You know, I've got no one to speak to until people wake up in England. Then I can start speaking to my family on the phone, at FaceTime, and the audio and everything. So I think it's more difficult for us because we're alone in our houses. But you know, it's something we have to do now. This is the situation we're in, and you know, the most important thing is health. You know, health comes before everything. Health is wealth, you know, and you know, we all have to be sensible. We all have to go by the guidelines. And I think the reason why, I think Japan's probably in a better situation for us, England, because at least, you know, Japanese people are obedient and they follow the rules. Whereas in England, you know, everyone kind of does what they want to do, especially now. You know, the sun's out, people are going to the beaches and the parks and stuff, like nothing's happening. You know?
But exactly, like, I can't believe people are still going out there, getting their kit off, and then having a bathe in the sun, which is good normal conditions. But with Corona, you know, it's just
it's a terrible situation. But we have to all work together. We have to pull together, and we have to all, you know, keep everyone as safe as possible and be role models. We have that platform. You know, we have to, you know, kind of, you know, show that we're doing it, so other people will copy us, especially the younger generation.
Yeah. Jay, you was saying health is wealth, yeah? How do you stay fit? How do you stay, you know, healthy? What does your daily routine look like?
I mean, for me, to be honest, I think, you know, Mitch is right to a certain extent, but for me, it's difficult to actually stay fit enough to go and play a game. You know, even when you do a pre-season, the first game of the season is always really hard. You know, you need to get, it's like you need to get your second wind almost. You need to get like 3-4 games before you start feeling like at a peak level. So obviously for me, like, I got to watch what I eat. you know.
Yeah.
I like my desserts, I like my chocolate. So I've got to cut down on that. But normally I've got a rowing machine here and I've got an exercise bike. So I just do that when I wake up in the mornings. I've got some weights here as well. So I'll do some weights. You know, the club gave us a small program that we have to kind of do.
Right.
So that's all we can do, really. You know, I don't really, you know, want to go out, you know, running around the streets. You know, people, you know, recognize us. I mean, you know, our city is a bit smaller than, you know, Tokyo and Nagoya. So,
right.
You know, obviously if we start going around there, you know, a 6'3" black guy, I think I'll get noticed.
Yeah, I mean, in a normal situation, if they come up to you and say, J-Man, what's up? You know, you'd be probably willing to say, what's up, shake a hand, take a maybe selfie with them. But, you know, it just doesn't work like that with Corona, does it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like today I went, for example, I went to do my food shop and everything. And obviously, you know, people might come up to me and, you know, want to shake my hand and everything. I was just saying, you know, I can't do it, you know, kind of do that with the elbow.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, it's, like I said, it's difficult, but we have to stay professional and we have to do the correct things.
Michael, Mitch was just talking about staying in touch with everyone. Mitch was talking about the Zoom workouts with his teammates. Have you been in touch with your teammates over the whole duration, ever since, you know, things came to a halt with football in the J-League?
Yeah, I've been in touch with my teammates. You know, we try to communicate at least, you know, twice a week, and you know, just to know how they are doing. Also, we are doing Zoom meetings, you know, with the team. But I heard Mitch say they just stopped training 3 weeks ago, and Jay 2 weeks. As we stopped training, I think 7 weeks ago. You know, it's been a very long period. You know,
Jeez.
we stopped the first week of March. You know, and it's been you know, quite a challenge because then you know, it's like a 6 weeks holiday break, and then things are like from the beginning of the season. Then like Jay said, you have, you know, to look and watch what you're eating, and it's part of training, because then you can be training hard and you are eating bad. Then at the end of the day, you have to do a lot of exercise. So we just try to, for me, I just try to watch what I eat. You know, the desserts they are there, but a piece won't hurt, you know, like Jay said. But at the end of the day, try to keep fit and watch, especially what we are eating.
I mean, whenever the season actually starts again, I mean, touch wood that it will start again. Maybe there's a possibility that, you know, people need to go through a proper kind of pre-season again, because, you know, it's different with the teams involved. As Michael was saying, some teams have stopped training for quite a large duration of time. But I really hope that, you know, things start kicking off. But I get the positive vibes from all of you guys. You know, I'm
That's
hoping
the only thing you can do right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just hoping you guys don't get out the ghetto blaster and start blasting out hip hop and, you know, having bottles of champagne by yourselves. You know.
No, I don't have the champagne, but I definitely blast the music.
It's important, isn't it, to get us going, isn't it? No, okay. So that's the some talk that we had about Corona. Let's talk a bit about Japan and your experiences about what you've had in the last couple of years. Jay, 5 years in Japan. Mitch and Michael, you guys said you were in third year, I think, if I'm correct. Am I okay with that? Yeah. What was your, like, you know, first impression getting in the country? Let's say, Mitch, you know, when you first of all got here. You came to Japan from where? Was it Spain? Was the last time club before?
Yeah. I was in Levante in Spain, and I came out in January 2018.
Right.
It wasn't so much of a shock to me because I'd been out here a few times before with the national team and things like that. So I had a good idea of what to expect. Obviously, once you do get here, there's a lot of small things that you sort of have to get used to, and there's a few small shocks. But all in all, it's really good. You get really well looked after by the clubs. The Japanese people are fantastic, so friendly, so nice. I think this is probably for the other guys as well. The first thing you notice is how well you get treated by by everybody and
right.
so welcoming. So for me, this was the best thing. I came out and didn't really have any stresses. Could get down to work straight away and start building up for the first season.
Like Mitch, Michael, and Jay, are you guys all here by yourselves, or are your wives with you, or what's the situation?
I'm by myself at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, normally my family come over around this time, but obviously in London at the moment, you know, it's a lockdown, so you know they can't
God,
travel.
I see. Yeah, of course. Like, so they can't come over at all. Yeah.
No.
What about yourself, Mitch?
Yeah, I've got my wife and my baby out here, so
Okay.
it's also difficult because normally we have, you know, extended family coming throughout the year, but that's obviously impossible coming from Australia as well. So it's okay just having us here at the moment, though.
Okay, and what about yourself, Michael?
I have my wife here, you know, just Netflixing every day.
Man, you lot are lucky, man.
Not so much of a luck. You had your time.
Jay, mate, you came here to start off with Jubilee, you know, your first impressions after having experienced England and the Premier League too.
I mean, for me, I mean, the difference within football and the fans is, you know, it's completely different. It's almost like a culture shock. But I really got into the culture as soon as I came. You know, I love Japanese food anyway, so that was great. Obviously, the fans, like Mitch said, is fantastic. They're always friendly. There's no hostile, you know, booing and, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, in England, you know, you play a bad game, you know, fans are cussing you out, talking about your family and your wife and, you know, all these kind of things. So obviously there's a big difference there. That was a big difference to me. But living in Japan, you know, I've had a fantastic time. You know, the fans at Jubilee, the fans at Sapporo have been amazing. You know, even, you know, the away fans, when we play away, you know, they kind of embrace us as well and you know, say hello. And like I said, there's no hostility in with the fans.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Michael, Jay was just speaking about the fans, the distance between the Japanese fans and the players. What do you think about that? What's your impression about just football fans in Japan then?
I think Jay has a valid point. You know, when you've played in different leagues across Europe and, you know, these big European leagues, then you can see the fans, you know, they are really emotional and really, you know, they try to support their team. The Japanese fans, they also try to support their team. But you see the difference, like Jay was saying, out there, you in England, you go and play and you have a bad game, you know, and everyone is out there, you know, trying to curse you. The fans, you know, they throw things into the pitch, you know, they want like to skin you alive, you know, for a bad performance. But in Japan, you know, you have to bow down after the game. I never seen this before, honestly. After the game, you have to line up and bow down. Imagine I had a bad game and maybe I tackled Jay in the game and then I have to go and shake his hands. It doesn't happen in football. You know, people run in the tunnel for their safety. But then it's something that it's a culture within here. You know, you have to appreciate it. And you know, when you go to Rome, you have to do, you know, what the Romans do.
Of course, Mitch. Some banter about, you know, about J.League, you know, about the footy played out here too. I think looking at your team, there was a close kind of a unity in spirit with the players, and being a foreign keeper in a foreign league, right? That doesn't come easy, right? How did you get that communication going with the rest of the players, with the Japanese players then? Yeah,
look, it's difficult at the start, but at the end of the day, when you're on the field, you can't really hear anybody anyway. Right. Normally it's so loud, you have to be quite close to speak to somebody. And at the same time, you're not having a conversation. It'll just be one or two words. Generally, it's always in English. In every country I've played in, it's always in English anyway. So not so much of an issue. But if there's something that needs to be ironed out, you just do this during the week in training with one of the interpreters. So it's not a major hurdle at all for me. And after a few games, you get used to everybody. So you get used to your players, they get used to you, what you're going to do in a certain situation. So once you get into the game, it's a lot of it is body language and looking at each other. And I'm sure the other guys will probably say something similar.
Right. Jay, what do you think about the quality of football that's played out here? And have you seen an improvement or maybe something the opposite in the 5 years that you've been out here?
No, I've always said that the quality of Japanese football is, really is up there. And I think you can see that now with a lot of players going to the European leagues, in
Mm,
Germany, England, Italy. And I think I always say that I think the J League is, is different because everyone talks about the MLS and the Australian League,
mm,
but I think that's because the J League don't really sell their TV rights to England. No one watches football. No one watches the J League, so they don't really get the opportunity to see how good Japanese players are.
right.
Whereas in America, America the MLS sell their rights to England, so people watch MLS football in England, and I think that's why when I say, oh, I play in Japan, some people that are ignorant just be like, why are you
Mm,
playing there for? Like as if like the league's a crap standard.
mm,
But obviously being here now and with more and more internationals coming, like Michael Mitch, obviously there's world class players there as well, like Iniesta, Torres was there, David Villa,
mm,
these kind of players. It can only raise the awareness of the J League, which is important, I think.
mm,
And I always say, I believe, there's not such a big difference, especially technically and speed wise between the J League and European leagues. I think that, if there is a big difference, it would probably be physicality.
mm,
Obviously there's a lot taller players, more physical players, and I think that could be a big difference. But if you're a good team, you can combat it. Look at the Spanish national team. They won a World Cup, they won the Euros, and I think most of their team were like Iniesta's height.
right.
So I think that would be the only big difference, really.
Mm. Um, Jay, but so your suggestion is to get the world recognition with Japan and the technique that they boast. It's about the rights and it's about having J League being broadcasted abroad, right? That's the point, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Mm,
that for people to really understand how good the J League is, they would need to
mm,
watch it. They would need to
yep.
watch individual players playing. If you said to someone in England right now, tell me a Japanese player, they ain't gonna know
Yep.
one in the plays in the
Mm,
J League because they
mm,
don't watch it. If you said to someone in England, tell me an American player from the MLS, they could probably tell you some,
mm,
but they're not better. We played, I think we played Vancouver
right.
Whitecaps in a preseason friendly, and we played like Columbus, and we had a competition. And when we was in Hawaii for a preseason one time, we won that comfortably.
Mm,
And I think the J League's kind of not talked about like that because it's not seen in enough countries.
mm. Thanks, man. Michael, your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I concur, with what Jay is saying and Michi, because at the end of the day, when you want people to recognize your product, you have to take it out there in the market, for people to see it. Then if you are not going to sell these rights, to the biggest platforms in the world, then it's going to be very difficult, to have many players coming into the J League and many players going outside of the J League, to greater leagues. At the end of the day, we have to, like Jay said, get strategies, and make sure that everyone out there is interested in knowing what J League
Mm,
can offer, because we have a lot of quality players, both technically, they understand the game quite better. And
right.
these kind of players, they need the platform, the visibility. So it's all about, goes back, to the J League, management and everyone to try and give it the much possible needed, coverage.
Of course. Mitch, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think the quality out here in Japan is extremely high. I think
Mm,
I can't speak so much about what happens in the middle of the pitch because obviously I'm not out there, but
right.
you can see the speed, the tempo, the technique of the players, and then it's complemented with generally good foreign strikers who are banging it in on the end of the service. So for me as a keeper, it's as challenging as it's been anywhere I've been. The speed of the game is really high. I think a lot of the Japanese players really try to play a beautiful and nice brand of football, it's exciting to watch. And, you know, there's a lot of games where it might be the top of the table, a team at the top, for example, Kawasaki playing a team at the bottom, and you know, it's a complete 3-0 to the bottom team. It's,
right.
There's no game that you could sort of sit at home and watch and say, okay, this is going to be an easy 2-0 victory. It just doesn't happen. And that was, for me, probably one of the biggest things about the league, is that there's no sort of hierarchy of the teams, and you can't just say, okay, yeah, they're probably going to finish top 2 or 3, and that team's going to finish in the relegation zone, because it's all over the place, and teams are taking points off each other. And I think if the games were shown around the world, there's a massive sort of niche market that could be explored. I think Australia's trying to get or has the rights to the J-League now, and it's perfect because, you know, we play over the June, July, August months where there's no football in Europe, and fans are starving for football during these months as well. And it would be a perfect opportunity for the Japanese, you know, league and the Japanese players to showcase their talents.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, we've seen this surgence of the Thai market with some Thai players coming into the J-League, yeah? So it would be amazing if that kind of like catches out to the whole of Asia to start off with. And then, you know, even in England, you know, it would be amazing. Like if I put the telly on back in England, and then if you get like a J-League game, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, in England, we've got, you know, the Australian League. I've seen some Australian games from England. But I think the reason why this has happened is because, you know, a few players went to play in the MLS and went to play in Australia. So obviously that's why now we watch the games, because generally there'll be English players in the MLS, there'll be English players in the Australian League. But, you know, for me, I'm the only Englishman in Japan, you know, since Gary Lineker.
Right,
So,
of course, yeah.
You know, I would love to see more English players coming to Japan. I would love to see more Japanese players going to the Premier League. I think, like Mitch said, the quality is really, really high, you know, technically. I mean, there's some bang average players in the Premier League. All they do is run around and kick people. And, you know, and that's the honest truth, you know, whereas you come to Japan and you don't really see that. Most players have good technique. Most players have a good understanding of the game, you know, and I played in J2 and then J1, and the difference is not such a big difference, you know. The difference between the Premier League and the Championship,
right,
you know, is massive. But you've seen teams get promoted from J2 and then go and win J1. You know, I think it kind of shows you that, like you said, there's no one that you can really say they're going to win the league this year or they're going to get relegated. Like you said, everyone, you know, takes points off each other.
Right. Who's really impressed you over the years then, player-wise?
I mean, when I first came, I played against Diego Forlan, you know, and obviously he played in England, so I was anxious to see what he was like and his movement and stuff, and you know, he impressed me. But there's been many players, you know. I like Yanaga at Kawasaki. I think he's like a Rolls Royce on the pitch. He doesn't, you know, when I see him, it looks like he don't break sweat. Right. He just looks like he's just playing in, you know, his own kind of way, and you know, he's quality. I played with Hayao Kawabe, he plays for Hiroshima now. You know, I really enjoyed playing with him. But there's a lot of players, you know. Every team has quality. Every team has dangerous players, you know.
Nice one, man. Michael and Mitch, great players that you've played with or against.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to sound cliche, but you know, playing against Vissel Kobe with Iniesta, Podolski, David Villa, I mean, that was a challenge, putting 3 world champions, obviously done it all in the game, in the same team, all attacking players for me to come up against. That was a big challenge, and it's interesting to watch what they do in the game. So I would probably mention those games and that experience as probably one of the more challenging ones.
Nice one. Michael?
For me, you know, when I came in 2018, you know, had a couple of, you know, like 15 games left to the season. The team was in a bad shape, you know, And I think playing against Nagoya at home, Joe, that season was really fantastic. 2018, banged in goals, hat trick after hat trick. It was really amazing to watch him play. And I believe he was someone that really impressed me during that season. 2019, in the J2, I didn't know so much of the players. Mainly, it was just the focus of going back to the J1. And at least now I can say, also Jay, quality player. It was very difficult actually to mark him during the corners. I just had to strike. Never won a single header.
He was holding me, Michael. He was holding me. I thought you get off me.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, bro. It was very difficult. It was very difficult. So one of also, a good player, out there, and I was watching, one of his goal recently, a preseason, not a preseason game, but it was a header he scored, during, against Kashima. Was really fantastic. The positioning, the timing, the defenders were like, what really happened? It was amazing. It was amazing.
Wait, man. Michael, when you get to my age, you have to start playing with your head. That's what I do now.
For sure.
Okay, gentlemen, last but not least, let's have some questions to each other. Anything is good, you could ask about the latest Netflix, or you could ask about something on the pitch. If you got some questions to each other that you'd like to ask, who'd like to start it off then? Maybe a question each would be fab.
All right, I'll ask Michael a question.
Okay.
He probably won't remember, but we played against each other in Spain. He was playing for Girona against Levante. It was my first game, Copa del Rey, and I just want to know if he remembers this game.
At home or away?
It was, for you guys, it was away. It was in Levante.
Yeah, we came to Levante. I remember we drew 1-1, and it was very rainy during that day. We scored from a penalty, if I could remember. And
it was 1-1, but I think we went through. We went through, and you guys went out this game.
Because we lost at home. You guys came to our place, and you beat us 2-1 at home, and we drew 1-1 at your place.
Yeah. That's it.
Excellent. All these memories coming back, man, eh?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's have some questions then. Maybe Michael, Jay?
For me, I will just... okay.
No, go on, Michael.
Okay, yeah, for me, I'll ask you, Jay, because coming, from Kenya, where, the football level is not so high, most of the players, they look upon playing in the England, because the English Premier League is considered as the best league in the world. So, you've played there, you've seen the transition, played in the championship, and I'd just like to ask you, what does it take, to play to such kind of leagues or level, because it's your native league and you understand it better.
I think for me, playing in the Premier League, it was all about having complete belief in yourself and and mental toughness. Obviously you have to have high technique. You have to be able to think really fast. But I think when you play in England, there's much more pressure on results than anywhere else. You can see like managers, they're sacked after 3 months if they don't get results. And it's the same thing with players, especially forwards. If you go to a team and you might go not score for like 3 games or something, straight away you're on the bench, someone else is coming in to see if they can do better. But I think what you have to do in England is that you have to be mentally consistent all the time. You don't get too high, don't get too low, but you have to be mentally strong. And I think to be successful in the Premier League, and the best players in the Premier League, that's what they're very, very good at.
Sure.
Excellent, man. Consistency, right?
Yeah.
Jay, do you have a question then, man?
Yeah, Mitch. Obviously, you're a goalie. I want to know, when you play against, forwards like me, Michael, other forwards, when you come up against penalties, us shooting, what do you really look at? Do you study us before games?
I don't know if I want to answer this.
I'm trying to get the edge.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of whether I should answer this.
It's a trap, man. It's a trap, man.
No. To be honest, it's no secret. But we obviously, all keepers in every club, under every coach, we always keep an eye on the penalty takers. And for me personally, it's no secret, but for example, if I'm playing you this weekend, I'll organise with our video analysis guy to give me probably 10 minutes on you, 10 minutes on the substitute striker who could come in, 5 minutes on the two wide guys, and maybe 5 minutes on one of the number 10. I'll watch all your penalties that you've probably ever taken.
That's interesting, you know.
Yeah, I'll get a proper snapshot, and then I'll be well aware of maybe you've taken 15, 20 penalties in your career, and I'll have a look and see
what side I'm going to go to more often.
Sorry,
but for me, I'm the total opposite. I don't like to watch I don't like to see who I'm playing against. I don't like to read about no one. For me, I'm just one of those players that I just like to concentrate on my game. You know, because
instinctive.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, if I go and look at a defender, and I think, oh, he might, he does this often, and I try to anticipate that, and then he does something completely different. I don't like that. I prefer to just react and and see what he's doing in that particular game.
Yeah.
But for me, I just like to concentrate on my game. I don't look at players. I don't look at defenders. I don't look at who I'm playing against or what they've done. For me, I just concentrate on what I need to do in that particular game.
Yeah, like for example, say if I'm coming up against Michael on the weekend, I'll have a look and maybe I've seen that he's maybe over his last 2 or 3, 4 seasons he's scored some goals outside the box, for example. He likes to take a shot if it opens up. So I'll have a look and I'll explain to my defenders, my midfielders, okay, if Michael gets the ball and he gets his head up, close him down because he likes to shoot.
So hold on. So you said you watched all my penalties. So why did I send you the wrong way?
I'm setting you up for the next one.
Well, gentlemen, that happens.
I'm trying to build some data,
All right.
Battle it out eventually on the pitch. Now, last but not least, it'll be fantastic. It's been great to talk to you guys. For all of you to put a cheeky message out there for all the people fighting, the doctors, the nurses, not just them, but the fans too, who are anticipating seeing you guys kick the ball around. So if we could have a message from you guys, that'd be fantastic. Let's start off with Michael then, if that's okay.
Just like to ask all the people, the football players, the fans, everyone out there, to take the government, measures quite strictly to try and adhere to these rules. Because they are out there, to support us. They are trying their level best to do what they can so that things can resume normally. And also to thank the doctors and everyone who is out there, trying to be on the forefront to, help us overcome this calamity. At the end of the day, as we are staying back, but there are people who are out there, risking their lives, and there are people that have families, there are people depending on them. So we just want to, thank them for what they are doing. And on our part, we just try to stay fit and try to observe what they're telling us. At the end of the day, we want things to resume normal. And to our fans, we thank them, for being patient with us, for being patient with the J-League and the government. Everybody out there is trying their best so that things can resume normally. And we promise that when things resume normally, if they will be, then we are going out there to give our level best.
Thank you, Michael, for your kind words. Thank you very much. Mitch?
Yeah, just following on with what Michael said, I think first and foremost, just the biggest thank you that we can give to all our medical workers and the people on the front line who are, doing the most amazing work to protect us all. And I think as a society, I think what we can all do is just follow the guidelines. We keep social distancing from each other, practice good hygiene, do the right things. And it's probably hopefully it's the only time that everybody in the world is all playing on the same team. So we all have to do the right things together. And only this way will we come out of it. yeah, like I said, just follow the guidelines, try to do the right things, social distance, and yeah, hopefully we can come out the other side stronger.
Okay, cheers, Mitch. Jay?
Yeah, again, you know, we have to all, you know, pull together as one. You know, this is one planet. We're one species. We all have to do the correct things. Obviously, I want to thank all the workers on the front line, putting their lives at risk daily to help us. They're doing a fantastic job, but we have to do our part as well. We have a platform, and we have to use that to encourage everyone else to do the correct things. So wash your hands, wear your masks, and be as safe as possible.
Excellent. So gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a massive pleasure talking to you guys, and it'll be amazing to actually see the action that you do on the football pitch with my own eyes, you know. So thank you very much, and take care of yourself.
Yep.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Take
Thank
care.
you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Michael, nice speaking to you. Mitch, nice speaking to you, man.
Likewise, man. Take
Nice.
care.
You too.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Cheers.
Bye.
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 Cheers.